Hey everyone, and welcome back to class. In this video, we're talking about justified true belief as a potential answer to the question of what makes knowledge better or stronger than just mere true belief. So many people have thought that knowledge must be justified true belief, right? So we've talked in the last video about how true belief seems necessary for knowledge. Uh, you can't know something unless it's true, and you can't know something unless you believe it. But true belief isn't sufficient for knowledge. You can have a true belief that only turned out to be true through sheer dumb luck. And in that case, you didn't really know it. You didn't know for sure. You just had a belief that happened to turn out to be true. And that's somehow not as good as knowledge. And so we're trying to answer the question of how is knowledge stronger or better than just true belief? And so many people, going back at least to 2,000, 2,500 years, uh, yeah, 2,500 years roughly, many people have suggested justified true belief as an answer. That knowledge is stronger than mere true belief because knowledge is justified. It isn't just a lucky guess or something you happen to believe that you really shouldn't have believed or that you didn't really have any basis for. It's justified. You had good reason for believing it, and it was true. That's what knowledge is. That's why it's stronger, because it has justification. And justification makes a belief more likely to be true. It, to paraphrase Socrates, it ties you down to the facts. It's belief, justification ties your belief down to the real facts, so that your belief isn't just some free floating whim that you have based on no real evidence or anything. It's it's justified. It has evidence behind it. It's supported. It's a belief that's supported by the facts. And that's what makes knowledge better. Knowledge is supported by the facts. It's justified. There's a justification. There's a reason, a good reason that you believe it. That's why it's better than just mere true belief. That might be a lucky guess. And so that's one account of knowledge. This answer, justification, for why knowledge is better than true belief, then gives us a proposed definition for knowledge, a proposed answer for what knowledge is, a certain account of what knowledge is. And it says knowledge is justified true belief. Knowledge just is a belief that is true and has been justified. And this says that justified true belief gives necessary and sufficient conditions for knowledge. So this is an attempt to give necessary and sufficient conditions for knowledge. It gives three necessary conditions: justification, truth, and belief. And those three conditions together are supposed to be sufficient. So these three necessary conditions together are sufficient for knowledge. That's the idea here. So assuming that S is a person and P is some fact, I don't know why philosophers historically use the letter P for facts and sentences. I think it's short for proposition, which is a fancy way for saying like a claim about the world. Uh, I think that's what it comes from. But so when we use these sorts of letter variables abbreviations, we'll use P for some fact or claim about the world. So assuming that some person, which we'll call S, and some fact, which we'll call P, this justified true belief account of knowledge says that S knows that P exactly when S believes that P is true, and S is justified in believing that P. So if S is me and P is that it's going to rain tomorrow, then I know that it's going to rain tomorrow exactly when I believe that it's going to rain tomorrow. It's true that it's going to rain tomorrow, and I am justified in believing it's going to rain tomorrow. Right? Similarly, you know that it's going to snow or that Baruch is going to be closed. Exactly when you believe that Baruch is going to be closed, it's true that Baruch is going to be closed, and you are justified in believing that Baruch is going to be closed. If you meet each of these three conditions, then you have knowledge. Together, these three conditions are sufficient for knowledge. If you don't meet one of these conditions, if one of these conditions is not met, then you don't have knowledge. Each condition is necessary for knowledge. If you don't meet one of these, you don't have knowledge. But if you meet all three, that is sufficient, and now you have knowledge, at least according to this account. So, if knowledge is justified true belief, then we can explain why knowledge is more reliable than true belief. Why, like I said, paraphrasing Socrates, why it's tied down. Knowledge always has a justification of some kind. So it can't just be the result of arbitrary and random beliefs, like my belief that it's always 3 p.m. I don't actually believe that, but let's say hypothetically that I believe it's always 3 p.m. If I believe it's always 3 p.m., I will be correct once a day. I will have a true belief once a day. But at 3 p.m., when my belief is true, I still won't have knowledge in that case. I won't know that it's 3 p.m. Why will I not know that it's 3 p.m.? Well, because I always believe it's 3 p.m. It just happens to be the time of day that I'm right, but I always believe it, regardless of what time it is. So I don't really know that it's 3 p.m. I'll still believe it's 3 p.m. when it's 9 in the morning. So that's not knowledge, even though at once a day it's a true belief. So that belief is a true belief, but it's not knowledge because it's not justified. I always believe it's 3 p.m. I have no justification for that. There's no reason for me to believe it's always 3 p.m. So whenever I believe it's 3 p.m., my belief is unjustified. It's based on nothing. There's nothing about that specific time, whatever time it might be in the day, that makes me believe it's 3 p.m. My belief is totally disconnected from the facts. And so it's not justified. And so it's not knowledge. A justification seems to make us more reliable. Justifications make us more reliable because when we have a justification for a belief, that belief is tied to the facts in some way. It's justified by some kind of evidence. Maybe an argument, maybe a proof, maybe an experiment, maybe personal experience. It's justified by something. There's some evidence to support it, whatever that evidence might be. And so a justified belief is more reliable because it's less likely to be false. An unjustified belief, which is unconnected from the facts, disconnected from the world, could be true, could be false. There's no way of knowing, and there's no reason for it to be true rather than false because it's not based on anything. But a justification, which has to be supported by some kind of evidence, is more likely to be true, and so it's more reliable. So if I believe that it's 3 p.m. because I always believe that it's 3 p.m., and you believe that it's 3 p.m. because you looked at a clock and saw that it was 3 p.m., then your belief is justified and mine is not. My belief is totally disconnected from the facts, and your belief isn't. Your belief is supported by evidence. You looked at a clock and saw that it was 3 p.m. So your belief is justified and mine is not. My belief is arbitrary. I believe this at all times, regardless of what time it is. But your belief is based on evidence. It's supported by this justification you have from having looked at the clock. So when it's 5 p.m., you'll look at the clock and you'll correctly believe that it's 5 p.m. But since I always believe it's 3 p.m., I will wrongly believe that it is 3 p.m., even when it's not. So 2 hours from now, or 2 hours from 3 p.m., I will be wrong and you will be right. Your justified belief about the time is more reliable. When the facts change, your belief changes. But when the facts change, when the time changes, my belief doesn't, because it's unjustified. It's not supported by the facts in the first place. So if the facts change, my belief will stay the same. But your belief is justified. It's tied to the facts. So when the facts change, your belief changes too. And that makes your belief more reliable over time. And so that's another reason that we want justification. It makes our belief more reliable over time. If the facts change, our belief will change with it. And so your justification makes your belief more reliable than me and my unjustified belief. So that is the account of knowledge given by what's called the JTB, or justified true belief account. It says knowledge is a justified true belief. It's better than true belief because it's more reliable. It's a belief that is tied to the facts in a certain way, so that if the facts were to change, your belief would change too. And that is the account of knowledge that has been popular for a couple thousand years, and that was torn apart by a 3-page paper published in the 1960s by a philosopher named Edmund Gettier. And that is what we will talk about in the next and final video of this week. So in the next video, I will talk about Gettier problems, which are problems for the justified true belief account of knowledge. And then next week, we will move on to a new topic. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.